Support the channel by becoming a channel member or joining the Patreon through patreon.com/manlightfoot.
1968, 1969, 1970. I'm out of toes and fingers. What else can I count with?
I tell you, but there's kids around.
Move this man!
You ever see something that felt like it had so much potential but fumbled it pretty hard? Besides the obvious one. Well, Netflix's Leo fits that category to a T. This movie felt pretty unassuming when I saw the trailer for it, and I thought it would be pretty harmless. I found out about it being a Happy Madison production and also being their only second one since 8 Crazy Nights. Especially since the studio that made that movie shut down right after that movie's release, which probably should have been a sign of what's to come with this, because Leo's got the ills of a Happy Madison production all over it. I can at least say it has an identity, a muddled one at that, but that's something no one can take from it. But maybe for some extra security for its identity, it should get a VPN. Luckily, this video is sponsored by NordVPN. NordVPN has so many great features to help keep you safe from all sorts of ransomware, malware, phishing scams, and all sorts of harm that can come to your computer. They have an amazing threat detection that stops trackers, ads, and malware from messing with your data. You can even use it to watch different versions of your favorite streaming services to get the shows and movies unavailable in your country. There's a great deal going on that you gotta get in on. Go to the link in the description below to get a 2-year plan with 4 months free, all with 30-day money-back risk-free guarantee.
I'm a poet and didn't even know I was rhyming those words, but it happened anyway.
Their NordPass app allows for you to have all your passwords in a safe place even while you're offline, all on a separate NordPass app, making life so much simpler. No longer will I have to suffer remembering so many different logins just to have to reset anyway.
God!
This is a great deal that I don't think you want to miss out on. So click that link below to get your 2-year plan and start protecting your identity. Thank you to NordVPN for sponsoring this video. Of Leo is about a 74-year-old lizard that's on his last year of life. He wants to escape the classroom he's been living in, but things change when the class gets a mean substitute teacher. The teacher makes all the kids bring Leo home with them. With this happening, Leo ends up helping the kids through their personal problems at home by passing down all of his wisdom he's gained over the years. Now, if this sounds absolutely pleasant to watch for a story, I can tell you now, it is. There's a lot of heart put into the moments of Leo just talking with the kids and giving them advice. The kids deal with their insecurities that many can easily relate to, being the kid of divorced parents, having parents that are overbearing, being a kid that can't stop talking because you feel pressured to talk, or a kid who's just spoiled and feels pressured to always be great. It gives way to let you get invested in the characters and wanting to see them overcome their insecurities. And Leo is genuinely a nice character. He clearly cares for the kids and gets to know them, and you're just happy to see a nice bond between them all, and even tells a great message about the young and the old getting along and just learning from each other and growing. It's so well done in this aspect. There's care for the heart of the story in this film. Too bad you have to get through its not too kept together body to get to it. This movie had all the makings to be pretty good if it just didn't fall into the Happy Madison-isms of crude and gross humor, drawn out jokes, and just pretty nasty and somewhat inconsistent animation. There's so many jokes in here where it works for a second and then it keeps going and just gets ruined. They have a joke of a teacher being pregnant but only showing it through her behavior. They do the joke right when she confiscates some snacks from a kid only to have her eat it. It gets ruined when they do too much by having her wipe the kid's hand for Cheeto dust and then lick the napkin herself. This is the first instance of this, and it happens often. It starts to grate on you because it's so prominent. There's so much, for lack of a better term, childish jokes in between the solid but then ruined jokes that just makes things hard to get through. So many pee jokes and egregious pop references that feel like old people wrote it. It reeks a bit of that how do you do fellow kids energy. The one silver lining to the gross and crass humor is that it continues to push what can be done with a PG rating, so good to know PG movies are getting their edge back, even at a cost of quality. A lot of the side characters can be pretty obnoxious. they're all written like those Happy Madison movies where the world is pretty mean and awful. It's not as bad as those old ones. They actually hold back a bit on those type of characters here and keep more of the focus to the ones that aren't annoying, so there's that. I'll admit once I got to the second act was when it picked up, then it just loses things with the ending being unnecessarily drawn out. It almost gets things right with avoiding having a true villain, but almost misses by having this over-the-top climax. Not to mention the main reason that sets these events in motion turns out to be a misconception. God did this ending almost missed. It just edges out by having a nice grounded resolution to things, but this movie was so close to being ruined. It's not even a long movie with it clocking in at an hour and 40 minutes, but there's so much sidetracking for dumb jokes it makes it feel longer. If 20 minutes were shaved off of it to focus more on the kids and their bond with Leo, I think this would have been a pretty solid movie. I honestly genuinely think there is a good movie here. It's just bogged down by so many things that just didn't need to be there, or just very outdated ways of telling jokes and utilizing humor in a story, not to mention how much it tries to pack into itself. God, does this thing have an identity crisis? It hits you with the surprise of being a musical, but then loses you once you realize it's purely a comedy musical, and they didn't get the best singers for this, or really the best jokes either. The songs don't sound bad, but there's no hummables here. They're all pretty forgettable. I don't remember any of them after just watching it. I kept trying to remember the melodies to any of these songs and I just couldn't. Even one that I kinda thought sounded nice, I forgot. I can't even remember how it went. The jokes in the song suffer just like the rest, and feels like they didn't want to commit that hard to the songs because a good few of them just happen out of nowhere. There's no smooth transitions into any of them, and they feel like they smack you in the face when they start. And honestly, it plays into the more the identity problem here, because it feels like it wants to be a parody of like Disney musicals and such, but like I said, it doesn't commit that much to it. It just feels like it does it and it expects you to know exactly what it's clearly trying to parody from the start while not being as direct about it. It just feels like half measures on top of half measures. Now, the elephant in the room here is the frickin' animation, particularly the designs. Man, does this not look too good. They have this thing where the humans are designed a little realistic, but not in a realistic way, if you catch my drift. Like, it's a half measure to a half measure, like I said, but in the animation now. But things get weirder when you see these eldritch horrors they call kindergartners. These things look like a mix between a gremlin and a Twonky. They throw everything completely off when it comes to design philosophy. The movie wants to move like a grounded animated movie, but then it's weird with these things coming into the scene and just throwing off everything. It's just so jarring. It even tries to have the characters do over-the-top motions, but they just aren't quite right. It also looks like it's not finished rendering and the humans need more brightness and contrast on them. There's just so many muted tones on them, and it's weird because Leo and his friend are way more vibrant than them, and it's not like they're trying to go for, oh, the world around them is just boring and mundane or anything like that. It's just a weird choice that they went with here. A lot of the time it'll go for these over-the-top cartoony moments, but the human designs don't really fit with it, so it just looks awkward and weird a lot of the time. Even on some of the animals where they try to make the animals look realistic, it just does not work. It's very much a case of they needed to pick a style and just stick with it. There's so much clashing of these different ideas and none of them are communicating with each other whatsoever. I low-key got pretty mad when I saw the end credit sequence because that literally is the style that fits well with these designs, and if anything, the whole movie should have looked like that. It really just didn't work too much. This is not necessarily an atrocious film, it just has shortcomings that I think will get on many people's nerves. It doesn't have a terrible message by any means. If anything, that's its saving grace, but you do have to wade through some crap to get to it. I can't fully recommend it, but I can say if you have enough patience for overly crass and childish humor, then there's little nuggets of wisdom waiting for you if you watch. This is just one lizard that almost missed the fly.